I need to have a real conversation with you today. Something I've barely done on this channel before, but I want to talk about Dune Awakening. Not just the base building mechanics or how to clear a testing station, but what this game actually represents in this era. I've been giving it some thought lately, and looking at the industry today, I've realized something. Dune Awakening might be one of the most ambitious games in the last few years, and it couldn't have launched at a worse possible time. You wanna know why? Because it's trying to deliver a true massive multiplayer experience in an era where massive usually just means a bigger map you still play completely solo. Now I know some of you are already hovering over the comments to say they dropped the MMO label. Funcom calls it Open World Survivor Crafter now, which technically is very true. But let's be honest, it's still a persistent shared world built to be shaped by thousands of players. The label might have changed, but the ambition didn't. And here's the real problem. We live in an era where the meta rules over everything. Gamers don't explore anymore, they optimize. They don't puzzle things out, they alt-tab to a guide the second something feels even slightly unclear. Take the deep desert mapping as a prime example. On paper, it's genius. Every week the Coriolis storm wipes the map, dunes shift, points of interest move, rock islands reset. You head out, scan the desert, charge safe paths, then sell that hard-earned intel to guilds or random players for credits. There's even a whole planetologist passive skill built for it. You could literally become a master cartographer, essential to your server. But what happens in reality? You already know, don't you? The storm hasn't even cleared yet, and the fresh map is already data mined and posted online before most players even log in. The secret dies before it ever lived. The devs could try and crack down on these sites, but the culture is already baked in. We'd rather stare at a second monitor than actually play the role the game wants us to. It feels like we're wasting our own immersion because, God forbid, we waste 5 minutes being inefficient. But Dune? It's funny, but I think it actually wants to believe in us. It's built on the idea that we're not completely lost to the meta yet. It's begging us to be creative again, to live in the world, to think on our feet. But for Arrakis to feel truly alive, it needs real interdependence. Crafters, fighters, scouts, and merchants who actually need each other. But we've spent a decade being trained to do everything solo. We want to be the farmer, the warrior, the trader, and the cartographer all in one character. Even if we hate the grind, we do it anyway. No reliance on anybody else. Why depend on a neighbor when you can just grind it out yourself? Grinding alone feels like freedom, until you realize it's quietly becoming a cage. Now, I recognize this vision so clearly because I lived it once before. Not on Arrakis, but in a game called Arrakis back in 2013. That game was peak interdependence. It had commerce, politics, crime, and a system that forced you into a community whether you liked it or not. Let's look at the old trade runs because these are the original blueprint for how you're getting your spice right now. In Arrakis, you could do safe zone trade routes solo for pocket change, just like the spice blows in Hagabase. You'd craft a pack, strap it on your back, which by the way slowed your movement to a crawl, and you'd hope to God you made it to the trader. But for real profit, you had to cross the ocean through the PvP zones. And crossing the ocean just made every ship on the horizon a heartbeat monitor check. Was that other boat friendly? Was it a pirate? And sometimes you'd make it across, sometimes you wouldn't, all part of the game. Now, modern gamers would call that bad design or toxic. But back then, that weight on your back was the entire point. It made the reward feel earned. So what did we do? Did we quit? Did we sit there and cry about it? No. We started talking. We planned routes together. We hired other players as mercenaries to escort us. We formed fleets. Those weren't scripted events. They were raw, player-driven moments I'll never forget. And that's exactly what Dune is trying to recreate with spice harvesting. Why do you think all those large spice fields are deep in the PvP zones of the desert? But here's the real question. Will today's players actually hire mercenaries for a dangerous run? Or will they just hop on Reddit and complain that they can't solo the entire desert? Imagine a guild paying a cartographer every Tuesday after the storm for fresh maps. Imagine 3 rival guilds getting on voice chat and negotiating a ceasefire just so everyone gets a fair shot at the next spice blow. That kind of thing is still possible here. We just have to break the silence. In Arrakis, it eventually got to the point where everyone knew everyone on the server. I didn't start as a leader. I was just a pure PvE farmer with a small plot of land, some crops, and a tiny clipper. A few of us began teaming up for those sketchy trade runs, and somehow it grew into a guild that controlled the castle for months. And if you were playing back then, you know that was a huge deal. The best part? Some of those same friends from the Arrakis days, I'm still running overland dungeons with them in Dune right now. It's funny running these solo or duo dungeons now because back in the day no one soloed dungeons or world bosses. You needed a real group, sometimes even up to 50 or 100 people. And you know what? You could show up for 3 raids in a row and walk away with absolutely nothing. If you were a DPS and the boss only dropped tank or healer gear, tough luck. But we didn't mind because it felt like a group achievement. The kill itself was the reward. We all understood that our time would come eventually while building something bigger than ourselves. And most of our gear didn't even come from boss drops. It was crafted by dedicated players or bought on the auction house. Today, if there's no personal loot or guaranteed drop, people call it a waste of time. We've become so focused on our own inventory that we've forgotten how it feels to be part of something larger. Communication and commerce were key. We constantly had to negotiate non-aggression pacts with other guilds for safe passage while trading. Even the world bosses became territorial battles. You'd have 3 different guilds all showing up at once, and you had 2 choices. Fight for hours just to get a chance to pull the boss, or resort to backroom politics. We weren't always in combat. A huge chunk of our time was actually spent in voice chats, just negotiating rotation schedules to keep the peace. It was chaotic, but honestly, it was some of the most fun I've ever had in gaming. Dune Awakening is clearly trying to bring that same energy back through the Landsraad. Every week, guilds compete for voting power. Contribute enough, and you get a seat at the table to vote on Imperial decrees. Server-wide changes that boost damage against rivals completely reshape the economy or alter the PvP rules in the deep desert. Think about the power in that. It invites you to communicate, to make deals even with people you have been fighting just minutes earlier. It's wild. It could turn bitter enemies into allies for a week, all because you're chasing the same decree. But are we actually strategizing? Or are we just mindlessly voting on whatever gets us more materials from refining? I don't think Dune Awakening is a bad game. Honestly, it's brave as hell. It hands us every role: fighter, cartographer, smuggler, harvester, and even the power to literally rewrite the law. The stage is already built, but it can't force us to become actors. But here's the thing. I think even Funcom is slowly realizing that the player base has changed. That's why you're seeing more shared chests, instance dungeons, and safety nets added. I don't blame them. They saw the writing on the wall and threw us guardrails. But the real question isn't whether Dune is a good multiplayer world. It's whether we're still the kind of players who can handle a game like this. Maybe that's the reason MMOs are extinct nowadays. The industry shifted because we stopped having the attention span to sustain them. Be honest with me, how are you actually playing the game these days? Are you part of a guild that's still out there making moves? I'm talking about the real stuff. Negotiating trade deals, hiring mercs for protection, and actually taking the risk of talking to strangers. Or have we all just become NPCs in our own stories, too afraid to break the script? I really want to believe we can still recapture that old school arcade magic. That sleeper they keep talking about can wake up, but it's on us. What do you think? Do you miss the feeling like you're a part of a world that actually lives without you? Or is that era of gaming dead and gone? Let's talk about it in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. I'll also be out in the desert, finding out the hard way. May thy knife chip and shatter if I see you out there.